Well, there we are. Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, episode 6 just gave us one of its best episodes. And I know a lot of you guys are probably already screaming in the comment section saying, Zach, I hate this show. I'm hate watching it. I hated this episode. And fine, that's okay to think that. And if you like this episode, that's even better. It's fine to have your own opinion. I've been saying that every single week. So make sure, guys, to share your thoughts down below on what you thought of episode 6. As well as make sure to hit that like and subscribe button because I love talking just geeky content. And I'm here for just something good. Like, I want a good fantasy show. And like I've said the last couple of weeks, I loved the first 2 episodes of this show. But since then, I've kind of started to drift away and be like, all right, we're kind of meandering here and there. We got to build and bring this to kind of a conclusion because we only have a few episodes left. I think at this point, 7 and 8, and that's it. Which is kind of like very insane to think that we're already going to get 2 more episodes, and that's it for Lord of the Rings. So with that in mind, this is an episode we really needed. It was the big action set piece one. No Brandyfoot, no Elrond, no Durin. It very much focused on the humans, Galadriel, and of course Númenor's army. And I overall thought this was a fantastic episode, like I mentioned. Is it some of the best action we've ever seen in Middle-earth? No. Not even close. I mean, nothing will ever compare to Helm's Deep or the ending of The Return of the King, but for an action scene that was needed for this, it felt it. And one thing I really liked about it was how they made the orcs scary. The orcs in here, and I've continued to say this, I did not like how they were portrayed personally in The Hobbit. I think The Hobbit used them to a certain extent that just did not feel right. In the books, I love how it's used, but in the context of the movies, I just didn't love the look, the feel, and it took away from some of that element. So now seeing them in here, they feel like this monstrosity, this Frankenstein monster that just completely bulldozes over certain things and honestly just gets bulldozed themselves, of course, because what's his face? When you look at all the different characters and you look at certain things, and when we look at Arondir, I loved seeing how he took him out right in the beginning, and it was great because we know Galadriel and Númenor is coming for them, to save them, to bring this kind of hope to Halbrand and, you know, step him up as the king because he is the king of this land. And that is the one thing that I was very excited to see, was waiting for that to finally happen. But to hold out for these people who don't even know that this is coming, I mean, that is the excellent part. And seeing Arondir and Bronn really work their people and be like, we are going to do this. The one thing I'll say this is I wished in the last few episodes they would have given a bit more development to not just those two, but in general, the entire town that they're with. Every time I saw a random character just die off, I was like, oh, he's been a nice background character in the background. Like, that is the only thing I will say about this war, is that I wish they focused a little bit more on the rest of the characters a couple episodes beforehand to really give that development to. But besides that, like, once Arondir knocked that tower down on the orcs, that's when all hell was letting loose. And when they came into the town, they barricaded the tavern, and they're trying to defend it. It was awesome, to say the least. I loved seeing the arrow shooting. I loved seeing kind of all the aesthetics, and I loved the cinematography of this episode. Because in a sense, they're all trying to, again, protect themselves, but also protect that peace, that thing that they know is evil to a certain extent. And I love how they were able to just, again, continue the build-up. Because once they think they won, they're like, yes! And then they start noticing that the humans that left them were there. Well, they have fought some of their own. And there's this kind of sense of, oh, Jesus, what did we do? What have we been doing? And then arrows start flying in, and it just seems like it's their last stake. They all go in the tavern. The Dark Lord himself walks in with all the other orcs, and he's like, where is it? And of course, Theo gives it up. But right in time, Galadriel, Númenor, and of course, Halbrand, Elendil, they all show up. And hearing, like, the way that they did the sound design for the horses and just the galloping you hear is just a sense of hope coming in. And I really liked it because then they come in and just decimate. And Galadriel does that little thing on the horse where she like kind of goes to the side and slices through, and just seeing them slice through these orcs was so satisfying. And it really felt like a great turn. And again, I don't think this is like one of the best action set pieces, but what it just means for the series is so good. And I loved it. I loved those moments leading in, and even the most important things afterwards when they go after the Dark Lord, and Halbrand stops him. Where does that go? It gives you the sense of hope, but deep down we didn't know this was going to be hope. Now, this is the one part of the episode I didn't love fully. This man grabs his sword and shoves it in. Now, maybe I'm just missing something. Maybe I blinked. Maybe I like zoned out for a couple seconds, but I find it a little bit dumb that this random guy was able to just shove it right into the ground and no one's paying attention to that. It feels very much like a plot convenience, which I understand most stories can feel that way, but I personally felt that that was one of the biggest plot conveniences in a while for a show. That Galadriel, Halbrand, none of Númenor, not even Arondir, none of these characters are watching after that thing. I understand we're all celebrating and recuperating and R&Ring after this battle, but really? But for the sake of it, Sauron, it feels like he's officially back. Dark Lord disappears, the orcs all know what's happening, and the entire world of Lord of the Rings is now changed. You see the catapulting from the volcano, the explosions coming in on these people, murdering them, and then all that dust hitting Galadriel and ending the episode, which was a great way to end it. I can't wait for next week. I'll definitely tell you that right now. I cannot wait for next week to see what happens next. And I definitely can't wait to see your guys' thoughts down below in the comments section. Because again, you might hate this episode. You might like this episode. Maybe you're finally coming around. I understand all your guys' complaints. That's totally fine. But thank you so much again for watching this. You guys are really all the best. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And one last thing I want to mention is there was some really good camera work with Arondir in here when he was fighting the giant orc. I started noticing that and I was like, damn, that's really good. I wish more of the episodes was a little bit more filmed like that. But I understand it is filmed as a grandiose epic. So other than that, guys, thanks so much again for watching. And of course, until next time, stay classy.